Hello, the harmony in the waltz from the Richard Strauss opera De Rosenkavalier is truly intriguing and fascinating. The waltz has form ABABC and, while the A phrases are based on diatonic harmony, the B phrases use a symmetric harmony system, with chord changes not unlike the John Coltrane composition Giant Steps. This tutorial presents a detailed analysis of the waltz, and you'll see the application of these harmony principles in a new composition example. Listening to the opera De Rosenkavalier by Richard Strauss, I've always been fascinated by the use of harmony in the waltz section, starting at rehearsal number 101 in the full score. The waltz has form ABABC, and the B phrases are intriguing since they use a set of triads that lie outside the key E major. Studying the score, I became aware of the use of both diatonic and symmetric harmony systems. In this tutorial, you'll learn more about the chord progressions in this waltz, including the analogy with the John Coltrane composition Giant Steps. We'll analyze the original waltz in detail, and then there is a fresh composition example of an orchestral cue based on the same harmony principles. The starting point is the Rosenkavalier waltz at rehearsal number 101 in the full score. Respecting copyright, I cannot play an orchestral version. Instead, I created a piano reduction that contains the essential features. We'll listen to a piano rendering of the full piece. The form is ABABC, the time signature 3/4, and this waltz is in the key of E major. Read along with the annotated score. Now we'll have a closer look at the form and study this waltz phrase by phrase. Here's the score with colored frames around the A1 and B1 phrase. Section A1 is 8 measures long and diatonic in character, confirming the key of E major. It contains a half cadence to the dominant chord B7. In B1, I've marked the chords on the roots B, D and F, and labeled the phrase as symmetric. Keep that in mind since we'll use this information later for the harmonic analysis. Also, I've marked degrees, such as 1 the tonic, 5 the dominant, and the lowered supertonic degree, also known as the Neapolitan chord. Finally, below the staff there are root movement symbols, such as R7 and R5. Which tell us something about the harmonic stability of the progression. The waltz continues with the diatonic phrase A2, starting with the tonic degree E major chord and ending on the second degree F sharp minor triad. The yellow arrow illustrates the descending parallel thirds, already used in A1. In the symmetric harmony section B2, I marked the triads on roots A and F, some of which are approached by their relative dominant degree triads, the most obvious being C major going to F major. Until now, all phrases have the same length, that is, 8 measures. The closing section C is 18 measures long and starts on the relative minor key, here as the C sharp minor triad. The descending third motive returns. and we continue with the subdominant degree A major triad. We are in the diatonic harmony domain, albeit with some chromatism, due to the intermediate or secondary dominant chords. The waltz closes with a traditional 5-1 dominant Teutonic cadence. We continue our discovery trip by focusing on the use of harmony systems in the Rosenkavalier waltz. We'll use the triad Tonnetz diagram as an analysis tool. This diagram is used in neo-Riemannian theory and illustrates various types of triad transformations by arrows that connect major and minor triads. I did a series of tutorials on this subject not too long ago. The diagram is a mess, since it shows the full path for the 5 phrases. These are centered around the tonic degree E and reach various distances from this root. What is important to realize is that there are several axes in the Tonnetz with harmony system relevance. Note the horizontal axis through the tonic degree triad E major. Triads on this axis have a diatonic relation with dystonic, with a proximity level. Here we find the lower and upper median triads C sharp minor and G sharp minor respectively, then the subdominant and dominant degrees A and B major. But we also discern diagonal axes that indicate symmetric harmony relations. Triads on the southwest to northeast axis are separated by multiples of the minor third, the 3 semitones interval. The other diagonal axis represents the major third, or 4 semitone intervals between triads. One may write chord progressions in such a symmetric harmony system, which is a concept from the Schillinger system of musical composition, and you'll see how Richard Strauss operates in this domain. For this demonstration, I use a harmony reduction shown here for the complete Rosenkavalier waltz section. Again, the phrases are marked with colored frames. Above the staff there are the chord labels, below the staff we find the degrees and the root movement, as expressed by the chord cycle labels in Schillinger notation. Diatonic root cycles are R3, R5 and R7. Chromatic or symmetric root movement is expressed as R3i, R4i, etc. Positive number values support cadential character. Negative numbers yield weak progressions, floating harmonies. This is a mechanism for controlling stability of a chord progression. When the A1 phrase is depicted in the Tonnetz, the diatonic harmony character is confirmed. Listen to this half cadence with one intermediate dominant chord, the E sharp diminished 7 being equivalent to C sharp 7 flat 9. We do the same for phrase B1 and note once again the red circles around the major triads with roots B, D and F. The Tonnetz pattern confirms the 3 semitones symmetry character. One of these is approached by its relative dominant chord, here the A major going to D. We land on the Neapolitan chord F major, before closing with a full 5-1 cadence. The diatonic A2 phrase is almost equal to the opening A1 phrase. This time we end on the supertonic degree F sharp minor triad in closing contrary motion. In B2 I've marked the triads on A and F, and on the right is the path through the Tonnetz. If we take into account the occurrence of relative dominant chords, we may see a pattern: E to A, C to F and A flat to D flat, the latter tonic omitted from the progression. These stress the R4i, the major third octave division symmetry, and are also known as chromatic medians. Note the many negative root cycles. The pattern of 5-1 chord changes in the Rosenkavalier waltz is similar to the harmony in the 1960 John Coltrane jazz standard Giant Steps. This uptempo swing piece has symmetrically distributed tonics on B, G and E flat, also a case of major third equal octave division. A series of 5-1 and 2-5-1 changes provides a showcase for virtuoso solo improvisation. You will be able to find more detailed discussion of this composition and improvisation examples online. A unique example is the amazing performance by the Metropole Orchestra, where the entire saxophone group is playing special choruses in sectional harmony setting at incredible speed. Here I'll only demonstrate the Giant Steps framework. The analogy between the Strauss and Coltrane symmetric harmony is striking. Let's finish the analysis with the longer C phrase. It basically also is diatonic in character, although, as the Tonnetz path shows, we pass through more remote chords, functioning as secondary dominant chords. We start from the lower median degree C-sharp minor triad, then move through the subdominant axis with A major and F-sharp minor, and close with a regular full cadence. Note the many positive diatonic root cycles, a contrast with the previous phrase. Let's conclude our analysis with a complete run of the Rosenkavalier waltz chord progression. Try to identify and recognize the aspects that we discussed just a minute ago. In this section I'll demonstrate the application of the mixed harmony system approach in a short composition. The first step is the design of an extended chord progression with phrases in either diatonic or symmetric harmony system. The piece will have ABABC form like the Rosenkavalier waltz, but the key now is G major. That has to do with an orchestral setting in mind, where B-flat and E-flat wind and brass instruments will have a hard time to play in tune for concert key E major. The symmetric harmony phrases will be longer than the Strauss original. Also, I'll insert another symmetric system fragment in the coda. Here's the overview with the phrases in colored frames and local tonics in red circles. A sections use diatonic, B phrases symmetric harmony, and the closing C section is subdivided. Again, I'll illustrate the path through the Tonnetz diagram, here a spaghetti pattern for the full path, but don't worry, we'll unwrap this mess for the separate phrases. Diatonic phrase A1 is a transposed copy of the Strauss waltz original. We stay in close proximity of the tonic degree. Section B1 is in the three semitones symmetric harmony, with the roots D, F and A flat, the latter two approached by their relative dominant triads, C and E flat respectively. The first inversion position A flat over C yields a standard template Neapolitan closing cadence through dominant D7. We return to the diatonic system for A2. Note the deceptive cadence D7 to A minor and a number of negative diatonic root cycles R-5 and R-3. The three closing chords demonstrate another standard pattern in the Schillinger system. Second inversion C major over G to G sharp diminished 7, or equivalently E dominant 7 flat 9, and then closing with A minor, corresponds to root cycle pattern R-3, R5, where the outer chords yield a stable positive root cycle R3, with C going to A minor. In B2, I decided to demonstrate the full giant steps chord changes. Here the triple tonics are C, A flat and E, each approached by their relative dominant triad. The regular stepping pattern is obvious in the Tonnetz diagram, with a sequence of chords lying on the R4i symmetry axis. The phrase closes with a 4-5-1 cadence. The longer diatonic C section has another major third R4i symmetric subphrase inserted. The E minor triad is the lower median degree. We are in the relative minor key, moving on to the subdominant degree C major. I chose the order of the symmetrically distributed roots such that we obtain many negative root cycles. This yields a floating, unstable harmony effect. And also the level of dissonance will increase as we put these triads on top of a pedal point E. The progression closes with a 2-5-1 cadence. Also this time, listen to the full extended chord progression and be aware of the different sound of the sections with either diatonic or symmetric system harmony. Let's turn this chord progression into an orchestral cue. Although the chord types and part of the progression are similar to the Strauss original, our setting and selection of instrumental forms will produce a significantly different musical idiom. This 3-minute-long cue is rendered as a Cubase MIDI markup. Read along with the annotated reduced score, while there also are some production details, such as instrument and effect plugins used. Summing up this tutorial, we had a close look at the fascinating Rosenkavalier Waltz by Richard Strauss. We studied its form and harmony, which consists of a combination of the diatonic and symmetric harmony system. For each phrase we analyzed cadences, root cycle patterns, symmetry and equal octave division into thirds, and paths through the Tonnetz diagram. Also, you saw the application of the combined harmony system in the design of an extended chord progression that then was turned into an orchestral cue. If you enjoyed watching this video tutorial, give it a like and subscribe to the channel, on which I share many free music composition and arranging techniques. You may help growing the channel or support my production efforts by making a PayPal donation, for which there is a link in the description below. Visit the website for companion material, more content and buying ebooks. See you next time and thanks for watching.